Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Joining us on the phones right now, you had a very, very big day yesterday in the Texas Senate. Senator and Chairman Paul Bettencourt joining us here on the Chad Hasty Show. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Chad. It was a really good day for all Texas taxpayers yesterday.
Absolutely. Let's talk about what eventually passed in the Texas Senate yesterday. The bill was altered a little bit. We have a 2.5% trigger on school districts in SB2 and a 3.5% trigger on cities, counties, and special taxing districts, correct?
Right, everybody else.
Yeah.
And we've got some really good appraisal reforms in the bill. We've got tremendous transparency reforms in the bill. And really, this is the first major change in property taxation in 40 years in Texas. It's been that long. It's been that long since the rollback rate is what it's the election trigger that we're talking about has been modified. And here's the bottom line: that we're going to let local taxing jurisdictions and school districts take a certain amount of money, and then on the school side, the state's going to make up the difference, and on everybody else, the voters are going to get a chance to vote on anything above that rollback limit in November. I think it's a let the people vote bill. I think it's a property tax and relief reform bill, and I think it's common sense because what's been happening with these the value increases, they're blowing people out of their homes and businesses.
Yeah. Visiting with Senator Paul Bettencourt here on the Chad Hasty Show. How did this come together? When I was in Austin last week, there was an expectation that this could be moved to the floor on Thursday. Ultimately, it was not. Then we heard rumors about the so-called nuclear option. Then Senator Kel Seliger got on board to at least move this to the floor for debate. How did all this work out? I mean, obviously there were some discussions that had to be taking place, correct?
Well, I can't remember all of the discussions because it sounded Chad, we were on literally. I've never been in a more intensive negotiating environment ever. But look, bottom line is the need, the plight of Texas taxpayers is so bad that people are screaming for help. And that really helped the whole cauldron boil over. Okay. And what was the final point was that Lieutenant Governor said, whatever it takes, if we have to, we've got Senate rules and we could have brought it up under Senate rules. It would have bypassed the ability for Senator Seliger to block it. He decided literally at the last moment that he would rather vote to suspend and then vote no on the property tax relief bill, which saved everybody, that process. But it took Lieutenant Governor Patrick just putting his foot down and said, I don't care what our procedures are, because we've got procedures that we can do without changing any of our rules, and I'm going to use them if we can't get the votes to suspend and bring it to the floor.
So did you have any idea that Seliger was going to flip and vote to allow this debate?
Well, I thought actually it was more likely a Democrat was going to flip before it, because Senator Seliger had been rather, demonstrative in his saying that he wouldn't. But then I think, we've had people meeting with him. We've had, people meeting with everybody. And I think at the end of the day, as the caucus chair, I was proud of the fact that it was the 19 Republican senators that voted to bring the bill to the floor, even if one decided not to vote. And then at the end of the day, we actually had one Democrat from the Valley that voted present. So, so it wasn't a pure partisan vote to pass it. And we did get a little touch of bipartisanship out of this. And Senator Seliger, it was because his move was unexpected, is therefore, certainly welcomed.
Right, absolutely. All right, so obviously the House now, all eyes as far as property tax reform now moved to the House. Has there been any? I know at the very beginning there was work together on property tax reform. Is that still playing out, or are you kind of sitting back and waiting to see?
Well, no, I'm in contact with Chairman Burrows, by text or phone, literally every day up to yesterday. I may take a day off calling them. Okay,
take Easter off. Okay, take Easter off.
I'm going to take Easter off. Right, that's probably the right way to answer it. And we use the exact same language that we filed on schools together and left it in the bill, because I'm not trying to box him out of whatever their solutions are. I'm just trying to make the point that schools have to be included in any tax relief proposal, because it's more than half the tax bill.
Right.
So I just stayed with the language that was filed in both the Senate and the House, because that was already pre-screened and approved.
Not for you to completely predict what the House is going to do, because there may be no way of knowing that. But how close do you think their language will be to this bill that was passed out of the Senate yesterday?
Well, the language may not be as important as just how closer they are to passing it. Something, okay? And I think what happens by us going first, that really helps them with their votes, okay? And really, I made an impassioned speech on the floor yesterday, and it was really about having the Democrats join us, because this is an everybody pays issue, Chad. I mean, the Dallas Morning News had come out with a study. The average home up there had a 55% increase in property tax bills in 5 years. $1,900 more.
Yeah.
And that's way 3 times faster than people's paychecks are going up. So, this shouldn't be a partisan issue. It's, it nearly turned into one, and it shouldn't, because this is an everybody pays issue. And I think at the end of the day, that argument helped Senator Seliger, suspend it, even if he didn't vote for it, because we got to have a solution. And, and people are not going to, they're going to demand everybody get off their butts up here and get something done.
What is, we're visiting with Senator Paul Bettencourt here on the Chad Hasty Show. When it comes to this idea of a sales tax increase that's been floated by the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker, obviously with the Texas Senate moving yesterday, are you in favor of that idea of a sales tax increase? If language is similar to the bill that y'all were able to pass yesterday, if that moves forward?
Chad, we've got $2.7 billion of money already in the budget allocated. I'm going to hear a bill that, I'm going to hear a more complicated version of the language that we passed out yesterday today. And on the school tax savings side, that's really where all these bills impact the state. And I don't see a tremendous appetite over here in the Senate for that proposal, because, the first thing that economic conservatives would immediately want to know is every dollar going to go for tax relief. And I haven't heard that yet.
Right.
So,
a sales tax increase.
I will tell you this, no matter what, whether it's income tax, property tax, or, sales tax or whatever tax, I'm not voting for an increase.
All right. So a sales tax increase, and as far as you know, in the Texas Senate is not very popular right now.
No, right now it's not, because, again, we're having to look for, because you have to understand these tax swaps are really what got us into trouble 10 years ago, when we swapped out property tax relief for franchise tax, and it turned out to be net positive on both sides. Now we're continuing to try to eliminate the franchise tax, and it's quite a fight. And I think Chairman Nelson's got a bill to try to take it down another notch. And look, one of the best economic conservative guys it's just up here in the Senate in my caucus is Senator Perry. And, he's the one that, as a practicing CPA, a lot of people key off of. So you just have to be able to say that any of these swaps are really, really tax relief and not tax increases. And that's yet to be determined. So just stay tuned, because there's more to talk about.
Absolutely. And we'll have you on as this process continues. Chairman Bettencourt, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chad. Bye.
Have a good one. That's Chairman Bettencourt, Paul Bettencourt,